Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another fantastic episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, and I want to thank you for taking the time to talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. Of course, Foxborough is the regional Foxborough area, and our wonderful volunteer, Jerry Love, who does all my scheduling for me, she met a very interesting person that I'm sure you're going to enjoy meeting. Of course, sitting here with Christopher Doobie. Christopher, thank you so much for being here on Foxborough Central. Great to have you here. And Jerry met you at a Network 128 event?
Yes. So that's
What is Network 128?
Yeah, Network 128 is a fantastic group of professionals that get together and support each other, support their businesses.
Is it a BNI? Is it a networking group? Is it a civic organization?
It is an executive group. Closed executive group.
Okay.
So,
and the reason why I ask is not because that's not why we're here, but it's to sort of set the stage, set the tone for this interview, this program, which we're very excited to bring you because it's really about self-motivation and leadership skills and how to bring out, and this is all from what I've gained in the 1.5 minutes of pre-interview, so if you can get me to understand this in a minute and a half, you're going to really enjoy this program. Self-actualization and how to be the best that you can be, correct?
That is 100% what I do.
All right, well then you did a great job explaining it to me. Now let's talk about it for everybody else.
Sure.
All right, everybody else, Christopher Doobie is the owner and manager of the Simpatico. And Simpatico is a consulting firm, and really the whole point of Simpatico is...
Great lead-in. The whole point of Simpatico
I
is...
throw softballs, you hit them out of the park, this is going to be a great relationship.
Only if I do a better job if it's underhand, so...
Good. We're good there.
The entire reason I created Simpatico is it's right in the name. So Simpatico means, or Spanish for, being on the same page, camaraderie, the ability to work great with people and get results that sometimes could be unimaginable or unfathomable. Mm-hmm. I felt like there was a lot of that missing in business, specifically with leaders, because the framework of what they work under, it's sort of piecemeal, patchwork. So how do you create impact as a leader? That was my first and initial question. And so I defined impact. It's the ability to inspire people to come together and solve problems that exist now, solve them by creating something that doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And that all starts with the leader or the founder or the person that had the idea in the beginning. So I wanted to help them get to a place mentally, physically, and even energetically, spiritually, that allows them to take the handful of days where they're absolutely rocking it every single one of those days from the time they get up to the time they go to bed. They're operating at 110% those days. Mm-hmm. I want to help them build that every single day. That's the entire purpose of Simpatico.
Interesting. And this is much more than the SNL Al Franken skit where I'm okay, you're okay, I like me. This is more of self-motivation and pulling from oneself their own talent and skill set and just making it more consistent, more out there, more every day, as opposed to have moments of brilliance. This is how to be brilliant every day, right?
That's exactly right.
And Christopher Doobie is, he described himself as the peak performance and culture success coach, which says a lot about what the expectation is, that when we're working with you, you're going to pull the best out of me that you can, and actually that I can. Because I imagine it's not one of those things where you're pulling stuff out of me, you're helping me understand that I should be pulling it out of myself. And just, what do you say, operating at a higher level, peak performance?
100%. There's one thing, one word that has permeated through your life to be the leader that you are. You have a busy schedule, you have a lot going on, and you keep moving. Those things about leaders, there's something that all boils down to one thing. It's seen in the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the people that you're around, the movies you watch, the books you read. If you can figure out what that one thing is and then use that as a starting point, a foundation, then we're wired for all the rest to happen. It's just how do you tap into that on the days where you're not operating at 110%. Stop that routine and then kick in another program that can get you back up to 110%. It is when someone says, why do I need a coach? I call coaching habitual accountability, because it's all about your habits and the routine that you follow that got you the success before, and then is going to dictate where you go from here, no matter how much stuff is put onto each of us.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work.
Oh, it definitely is.
Isn't it easier just to sit back and rest on my laurels and say, hey, I did a good job, and let somebody else handle the rest of the nonsense?
It is 100% easier to do that. And that's why coaching is so powerful. I mean, some of the best coaches in the world, Tony Robbins, Jared Robbins' son, they're some of the best coaches in the world. And they have several coaches that help them maintain accountability to maintain world-class coach standards. So if they were to just take that mindset, because that's what you just said, it was more of a mindset than an action, you could do that. And some people are happy with that.
Interesting. Back in the day when I was younger, we would have the cassette tapes, the Zig Ziglars, and we'd have the cassette tapes when we listened to them as we were driving. Yes, and so this is, I'm sure, some of the same messaging, but more personalized and self-directing, as opposed to listening to the tape where you knew that you were listening to a conference in front of hundreds of people, but it's not the same thing as being in the same room. Clearly, there's an energy there that can't be missed. As with any performing arts, as with any meeting, if you miss it, then you miss it. But if you're there, you can feel the energy, you can feel the vibe, and you can ask questions. So is that what you bring to the table? And of course, anybody that comes into this show and is an industry expert, I love being able to promote your company, so I'm going to do that in just a second. But with Simpatico, take me for example. I'm just a guy out the street, but how do we start with somebody like me? I'm blah, but what do you do with me?
I think you're discounting the person that you are and what you have to offer, because
I don't know. We'll see.
So there's a couple things that you said in there that are extremely interesting.
I touched on 3 different things, so let's just grab them and let's have at it.
So the first thing that definitely caught my attention as you were talking is the tapes. So
I definitely date myself when I say that.
But that purpose, the reason someone would do that is because they intrinsically feel that there's something that they can be better at. Okay, so that's where it all has to start. I can't convince you, Bob, that you need anything, because it needs to come from what you feel and what you're producing every single day. So those tapes are a way to start that process of taking action towards where you want to be. My first question is always with clients, like, what is your definition of success? How do you deem that? Because it's different for everyone. Sometimes success is just getting up that day and being able to get through the day. And then other people are like, no, I need to be climbing a mountain, Mount Everest or something.
And there's different motivators, and each of us has our own definition of happiness and success. Sure. So
100%.
that, and then what you would do, from the sounds of it, is you would help me identify what that is, and then get me to understand what it is that I need to do to be able to achieve that.
Exactly. And so this is where my business and myself start to stray from the conventional leadership roadmap. The next thing that caught my attention, to answer your question, was the energy. You talked about energy. So a lot of people in general we move through our life every single day, and we lose sight of the fact that that is all around us. That energy, that good vibe, bad vibe thing. That is a very real, very scientific thing that's happening. So if you're going to listen to tapes and you know that it's the first step in taking action on getting to 100, 110% and whatever it is that you're doing every single day, because everyone's a leader in some aspect, right? Then it comes down to you want to do more, and that energy aspect, that feeling, that emotion, that driver is the thing that you say, okay, I need more of that. What I do is really summed up in one word. It's called neurobusiness. Okay, so that means taking neuroscience insights, so things that happen with your brain and body, and changing outcomes for better business decision making. So that's 3 skills that I teach and hone in on: focus, prioritization, and problem solving. If you can master those, then the energy aspect of how you influence people and impact situations, you can see inside of days, it go from people going, oh, hey, Bob, to, hey, Bob, last time we talked, I heard you talking about this project. I really like to sit down. I want to help you with that. So you're drawing things towards you instead of grabbing at things away from yourself to try to pull them in. It's much easier to have things come to you because of how you're changing the situation, as opposed to grabbing at stuff that goes by at 100 miles an hour because you don't feel like you're in a place to get it all to come.
Interesting. Leadership. So we're all leaders, huh?
In some aspect, yes.
Some aspect.
I truly believe that.
We're going to touch on that in a second. Christopher Doobie is my guest. He is a peak performance and cultural success coach with Simpatico, and Simpatico can be accessed on the World Wide Web at www.simpatico-consulting.com. I guess we don't have to say www anymore. I do anyway, because I still listen to cassette tapes. The telephone number is 339-224-1136. You see right there on the screen. You should be their friend on Facebook. You should follow them on Instagram, of course, since you're a business person yourself, perhaps. Be on LinkedIn, and you can reach out and subscribe and be a friend. The interesting thing about what you do is, well, actually, the question I have before we get to the interesting is, do you reach out more to individuals? Is it to the companies? Am I likely to meet you if I'm, say, a car salesman and my company has invited you in to talk to the sales team to get us to understand better how driven we can become? Or is it more something where I'm an individual performer or a contributor or a leader, and I say to myself, I want to improve myself? Where do the bulk of your people come from?
So they come in three ways. Usually it all starts with the relationships and interactions I have with professional colleagues, things like Network 128.
Okay, there you go.
The closer the people that you have to you that know the most about you, if they're a trusted advisor, friend, colleague to someone that has these drivers to be more and achieve more, and they know something may either be broken or not, but they want to be better, that me approaching them and saying, hey, you seem like you have some problems, let me help you. That is more of a, who is this guy? Why is he saying this?
Right.
Where if your CPA or your attorney is saying, I really feel like if you want to get to that next level, you should have a conversation with Chris. So that's one way.
Which is powerful, by the way, because referrals are always the most, the best way to close a deal is to have a referral, because it's that personal recommendation that puts us over there. Because we can all go out and buy a car, but the person we buy the car from is the one who's going to close the deal, and that's how we make that introduction. So that's interesting, makes sense, networking.
100%. Life is about people. If you can connect with people, then you just have to sort out how you interact in certain situations. And that's, a big aspect of just being successful at life, not just business.
And maybe this is a one-off, but the funniest thing about life is people say, oh, there should be a way, or there's got to be. But we all create our own path. And the successes we enjoy oftentimes are from those relationships we build and from the people we know. It's all who you know, but there's a lot of truth in that.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not a wrong thing, because you know people by reaching out and communicating, being trusted and working with people and creating solutions and successes. So I do believe that life is about who you know. And so this is an interesting way to embrace that.
And when it comes to people, you hit it right in the middle of the target. Another way that I get in front of people is, so my business has workshops. So I perform workshops, setting up a workshop right now that's going to be starting in Chile with entrepreneurs there. I've done them in Mexico. I've done them in various states around the United States. Okay. Some downtown in Boston. When I'm there, people are going there as exploratory, or I think I could use this in some aspect. And they expect to walk away with one, maybe two things. So what I try to do is, to that very personalized approach, the things that make me and my business different are the things that are going to help you pull the strongest traits out of you that have gotten to where you've gotten, and then catapult you to that next level. Then it's all about maintaining what it is that you do. So, when people go to workshops and it's a 1 day or a 3 day or a 5 day workshop, what they come in as and how they leave is very different, because the first thing to change is the mindset. What was I expecting? If you deliver more than that, then they've already changed as a person. Then it's how do you maintain that routine or take that tool and apply it to your everyday life.
But that's the toughest thing, because
100%
we can sit here and
toughest
have a great meeting and I can buy into what you're selling, but then they go home and then becomes self-motivation. And I think that has to be a component, I would think, of any successful driven leader. And
how bad is the problem?
Right.
Usually in those exploratory encounters, the referral aspect, that's more turnkey. We have traction and we're off and running. But
that's also just the introduction.
That is exactly.
If you don't do anything with it, then it's an introduction and we have a cup of tea and I see you later.
100%.
But
it's my job. I guess the thing, if I were to sum up everything, my job is to understand the type of person you are, your definitions of success and how you view yourself, and understand some of the strengths that you have, and then say, is this am I getting the right impression? And then people go, well, yes, but that's the old me. I want to be here. And then I just ask, how are you going to get there? And they go, I don't know. That's where we start.
So we're now contributing a little Dr. Phil in here, because really it's the psychological piece of it is not only understanding, but maybe even getting me to understand myself, because I guess as a consultant, you are trained to have certain things that you'll bring to the table, but each person has a different driver, a different motivator. I mean, we're people, and we all have similar, at least on the face of it, similar drivers, but in business, or actually, you're not even just business, let's talk about individual success. So whatever makes me successful is really what you're driving at.
Yep, that's the third way that I'm meeting and helping people is when we meet, just having a conversation, and our conversation strikes a chord with something that you were thinking with, or looking to maybe take some action on at some point. When that chord is struck between us and we have that common bond, we're on the same page, those good vibes, that's called resonance. So everything, I'm sure people have met people that they instantly get along with. Oh, this guy's great. I met this really cool girl, or I met this really great guy, and we had a great conversation, and it just seems we have a lot in common. That's not just a thought, that's a feeling. And so that's the way, either at workshops or through colleagues or just normal conversation, how I meet people that say, I really feel like this was something that we should, move forward with, and I'm looking to be a better dad. I'm looking to be a better coach. I'm looking to be, because some of my clients are not just C-suite executives and entrepreneurs, but other coaches and consultants, because it's those people skills, because they're people, and then there's process people. That's where the neuroscience kind of kicks in. How do we live a majority of our life? Are we the logical, analytical left brain, or are we the raw creativity people of the right brain? And then me having to understand what drives you by you telling me. All we do is we build the process backwards. So if I said to you, okay, Bob, we're having our first consultation, we're
feels like we are. So
we're gonna possibly move forward, but what does it look like if you fail? So let's go from here today until everything that happens until you fail. And then just before it happens, I want you to hit pause on that tape. And I want you to say, what can we do if we don't go all the way through, right to the edge, and we say, I decide to not fail. I decide to do everything that's necessary to make all of those hurdles that I just kind of blew through to get to the end where it's like, this is it. It's all done. Now, let's move backward, just like we're hitting rewind, and fix all of those things. Do the hard work and the understanding. Just having that self-awareness, just having those tools that I teach and that allow for focus, prioritize what happens in your day, and solve problems. We all have to do that every single day. Those are the things that really get down to the work from individuals, business leaders, and it's the thing that makes the difference between you being a great dad or a great CEO to just what it is that people would normally say normal.
And it sounds like creating good habits and, you know, really being a little more global in the approach and understanding how everything that we do has the if-then statement or the yes-no statement, and then ratcheting it back. It's like, okay, well, this is a decision I could make, but this is going to be a little more insightful into the things we do.
It's those pieces.
This is a very deep program. I'm sitting with Christopher Doobie, who is the a peak performance cultural success coach. He's really the owner of Simpatico, which is a consulting firm, teaches folks to look into themselves and pull out their own inner strengths for success. Very interesting fellow. We're running out of time, but I have so many more questions to get to. Just want to remind everybody that Simpatico can be reached at www.simpatico-consulting.com. Telephone number out there is 339-224-1136. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Speaker Hub. What is Speaker Hub?
Speaker Hub is a place where if a business is looking for a speaker about a specific topic in a specific place, that's a good place.
And
to
you're
start.
a member of Speaker Hub.
I am.
I find that wonderfully right in keeping with, seems like you have a lot of skill. Now, how does one wake up in the morning and say, I am going to be a success coach? It doesn't seem like, I remember when I went to college, I remember reading the list of all these careers I could choose, and I don't remember that one being on the list. So how does one become do you call yourself peak performance and cultural success coach, but self-help, self-actualization? Where did you start? How did you get here?
So I come from an entrepreneurial family. So when I was younger, I saw my parents going to work for themselves, so we could eat, which is key.
Entrepreneurship is the only job where you work 80 hours a week to avoid working for 40 hours a week, right?
That's exactly
so there
right.
You go.
But the fulfillment aspect of it is just so much greater.
Absolutely.
So it's that's I think where it was all instilled in me. But athletics have always been a huge part of my life. I was a professional athlete. Okay. Got hurt and had to get over the obstacles of what that means.
What sport?
Well, I played Division I hockey at University of New Hampshire. And then I also was a professional beach volleyball player in Southern California in the AVP.
Outstanding.
So I've had some pretty interesting experiences in my life. So when you're preparing your mind and your body for those type of high-level events, there's something that begins to change your routine. How do you be the best that you can be in a moment's notice? So I would call it, how do you be brilliant in a moment's notice? That's not just for athletes, that's for everything in our life. That's what leads right back to where we started, which is I truly believe everyone is a leader in some aspect of their life. Because each moment that we go through each day is an opportunity to be brilliant for yourself or for the people that are around you, whether they're family, friends, or colleagues, or for your business. So, from that aspect, learning those things, I said, there's something missing in society today where true statistic, 98% of people don't think that their dreams are going to come true. Okay, so that for me was like, wow. I've always been someone that my one word, like I had mentioned earlier, if you can figure out the one word that drives you and is permeated through your life, that's your starting point. My one word is belief. It's always been belief. I came from a small town in Maine and was playing athletics with town people, and then that grew to larger stages. And I said when I was 10 years old, I'm going to play for the University of New Hampshire. And everyone kind of laughed. And that focus and that drive and me saying, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to achieve this. When I finally got there, long road, but that was me focusing on that one thing and saying, there's nothing that's going to stop me from doing that. That then changed to different athletics with professional beach volleyball, people, business, and the whole thing comes down to helping other people be better at what they already have that they may have forgotten along the way by making it really simple. And it all starts with your one word, and then pulling the things from inside of you that are your strengths to be better and do more of what you already love to do.
Interesting. And that's why I say each person is a leader in their own right.
That's exactly right.
Interesting. We are out. You're going to get the last word, of course. I want to remind everybody at home that you too are a leader in your own right, and sometimes we need a little help understanding that and appreciating that. And maybe if you are somebody who needs a little self-motivation or needs to maybe dig a little deeper and understand, what it is that drives us and what it is that we can do to make ourselves more successful. Maybe a peak performance and cultural success coach is something that would be a benefit to you. Now, do people reach out to you individually and consult with you, or do you? And you mentioned you're going to Chile, and I do see that you are an international speaker leader, which is really interesting because how do you make a connection down in Chile from up here?
All about people.
And I wish we had more time, but clearly you're success-driven yourself, and you've found your niche. And how many of us go through life, looking to find what is it, that one thing that we can do and do well, and then make it to where we can not only be successful, but we can have the life we want. And so it seems as though you found that.
You just nailed everything about what it is that my end result is driven towards.
I was just going to boomerang it and say, and I guess that's what you're trying to get us to do. So
100%. What kind of success? How do you deem success? And then understanding that you already have all of that in there. You just have to focus on what that is, and then have someone keep you accountable. That's what I do by being in a lot of different life experiences and situations in athletics and business and life. So I always bring it back to people. If you meet the right people at the right place at the right time, and it just sort of feels right and it works, the way I operate is, let's have a conversation. I'm not going to try to change you. I'm just going to try to understand you in order to help you get to where it is that you want to be, because that's really your decision, not mine. I'm going to do everything in my power in order to make that happen.
Interesting. You mentioned the one word. My one word is faith, and it's always the faith I'm going to meet the people that are going to make everything work out. So that's an interesting,
fantastic
self-realization. Excellent. I'm going to remind everybody one last time. I'm going to give you the last word, but I'm going to remind everybody I'm speaking with Christopher Dubé, who is a peak performance and culture success coach with Simpatico. Simpatico can be found at www.simpatico-consulting.com. Their telephone number is 339-224-1136. You can also email Christopher directly at simpatico.consultation@gmail.com. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you, and if not himself, he'll hook you up with somebody that can be of support to you as you try to find your own inner leadership and self-motivation. Be a friend on Facebook, be a follower on Instagram, be a subscriber on LinkedIn, and you might actually have an opportunity to interface and learn something and perhaps gain growth and self-realization with Christopher Dubé. Christopher, you get the last word, sir.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you for having me on. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. So kudos to you and everyone here at the studio. Lastly, it's these types of situations that make what I do the most fulfilling thing that I could do. If everyone watching could take the one day that they had so far this month or last month and say, man, I just want to make that day every day.
That was the perfect day.
That perfect day can be every day. It just takes the small 1% shifts. If you can get 1% better every day, inside of a couple days, a week, a month, a year, you will be so much further ahead to where you want to be and how fulfilled you want to live. That's the driving factor that allows me to help people reach their goals and feel fulfilled in my life. That's the belief that I have that I can share. It was a great time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I always enjoy meeting new people and sharing new messages. And clearly, you're a fascinating person, and I really, really like that you are giving at the same time, being able to create those successes. So very cool. And very cool that you were here with us on Foxborough Central with Christopher Dubé. Of course, if you missed any of this information, you forget to go find him at www.simpatico-consulting.com. You can always find this information at our website, www.fcatv.org. Click on the Foxborough Central tab, and you'll see this and any of the other wonderful programs we have. Also, be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. All of our programs are on YouTube, as well as all the other fantastic programming we have here at Foxborough Cable Access. Music, musicals, plays, sports, We're your community resource. On behalf of all the volunteers here at Foxborough Cable Access, I'm Bob Hickey, your host. Thank you, Foxborough, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.